I'm Isabel and I'm your marketing coach. This episode is brought to you by my signature offer, Side Hustle to Profit. Learn how you can start to generate an additional stream of consistent income from your side hustle. Get instant access when you enroll. Link in show notes. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Start Somewhere, the podcast. My name is Isabel Prestia. I'm your host, and I'm so grateful you decided to click play and spend the next few minutes with me. Guys, I used to always edit out every single time I would stuff up a word, and I just wanted to make it so perfect. And I'm really glad that I've bypassed that that need for perfectionism, and I can just stumble over my words, and that's totally fine. So this is a podcast where we speak all about mindset, meditation, manifestation. We talk a lot on marketing, personal branding. We speak so much on spirituality, and meditation comes in pretty much every single episode. And that's probably the gist on it in as few words as possible. So if you are new here, hello, welcome. I'm so grateful you chose to click play. Whether you are watching us on YouTube, you can watch me. I'm filming this as well. I know some people do prefer to get like a visual. I know I sometimes do. If I'm like watching, I'm like, oh, what does this person look like? Or I'm just curious. So if you're curious, if you want to have this playing in the background, search up Isabel Prestia on YouTube. You can type in the exact name of this episode as well as what it's displaying on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is you choose to listen. And of course, we are on every major podcast platform. So random information, but I felt like I had the urge to share that with you. So guys, this episode is a special birthday edition because who doesn't like to be extra around their birthday? And as you can tell from the title, I am going to be sharing my 26 secrets to skyrocket your life. I just turned 26, guys, hence the number 26. So thank you to everybody for all of your birthday messages. I felt so loved on my birthday. I had such a great celebration. I kind of celebrated for like a whole week. Guys who can resonate with me, birthday week, it's definitely a thing. I feel guys, not so much. Girls, you guys know, I'm kind of confusing the guys and girls, but ladies, you know what's up. Birthday week, we have to go bougie, we have to be extra. I had such a beautiful week, and I really wanted to jump on here and share an episode in theme with my birthday. So this actually as well. So shout out to a lovely listener of mine, Ellie. We recently connected on Instagram and we're just chatting, and I just was really curious to know what type of episodes that she really wanted to hear more of. And she mentioned more life lessons. So shout out, Ellie. Thank you for your suggestion. You are the inspo for today. And that being said, guys, if you're not following us on Instagram, so there is my personal page, which is Isabel Prestia. The link to that will be in the show notes. And there's also our podcast page, which is startsomewhere.podcast. So my personal page is for all the fun life behind the scenes to me, who I am. And the podcast page is somewhat similar, but we share a lot of motivational and empowering and mindset-based content. So definitely get around both of those accounts if you haven't already, and come say hey in the DMs. I've been really loving connecting with you guys so much. It's so cool to really speak to who is tuning into the podcast. Podcasting is such an intimate thing, essentially. It's my voice in your ear. So I love to know who's tuning in. So don't be a stranger, follow me, say hey, slide in the DMs, and I'd love to get to know who you are. So we are going to go straight into this because we have 26 points to share. I may break this up into two parts. We'll see how long we go. But I've got 26. I have thought of 26 things prior, and I know I'm going to go on lots of fun little stories as we go through them. So let's do this. Number 1 is recognize if it's shiny object syndrome. Now, let me flesh this one out. How many of you guys, we get a new idea? It can be any kind of idea. and I'm like, oh yes, let's do that. And then maybe we do it half-assed, or we don't really go all the way with it. And then we find another idea and then we jump onto that. And then there's this pattern forming. This used to be me. And I realized that this is actually has a name. It's called shiny object syndrome. And one of my coaches, maybe a year and a bit ago, Emma Norris, she helped me realize that I actually had this. And like a great example is, okay, so this is to all of my business listeners out there, whether you have a business or whether you love the idea of having a business and you want to start one. So you get a great idea and you're like, cool, I'm going to start a Pinterest board. I'm going to start an Instagram account. I'm going to do all that kind of fun branding stuff, which, I mean, I'm your girl. I'm all about the branding. But are you actually taking the steps forward to turn it into something more? Or is it just an Instagram account? Or maybe we want to start, I'll use a great example. We want to start a podcast. And you're like, okay, let me make an Instagram account for this. And then you get so caught up in the look and the theme and the branding. Oh, what's the name of this? And XYZ. And you haven't actually done the thing to start the podcast. This, my friend, is shiny object syndrome. I'm the biggest advocate and believer of starting before you are ready. You don't need to have all the fancy stuff in order to start, right? So recognize, is this shiny object syndrome? Are you just getting caught up by the next cool, fun, flashy idea? Or is this just, guys, is this just procrastination, right? So get clear on yourself, and maybe you do have to pull yourself up on your bullshit. Maybe I've called you out right here. It's with love, guys. And I'm only sharing this because this is something that I had and I didn't know I had. I didn't know it had a name, essentially. So now I'm so wary. I start things with no real plan ahead. Like I take the first step and that's it. And I'll give you some examples of how I do this. Maybe I'm thinking of a new offer. I'll get the general idea of it and I'll put it up there on my stories and say, this is the offer, this is the name, this is who it helps. And I haven't fleshed out every single nitty gritty in that yet. Like when I hosted a virtual journal challenge around the middle of November. And it was the most intuitive, in the moment, Isabel thing I've done. And that was, I was journaling one morning and I'm like, oh my God, these journal prompts are honestly changing my world. I want to host a challenge. And so I put it up on my stories and said, I must have put up a photo of me journaling and I shared what I just shared right now and said, who wants to get involved in this? I had no idea what the prompts would be. I had no idea about anything opposed to, I'm like, it's going to start next week. That's all I said. And everyone was like, yep, sign me up. And I just had so much like faith and trust. I'm like, oh, it'll figure itself out. And then I actually had people messaging me being like, hey, like, when is this happening? What's the go? I'm like, don't worry, I'll message you. Like, I've got this sorted. But the thing is, I didn't wait until I had a whole entire detailed plan, every single prompt, every single message drafted, every single logistical thing. I just put it out there, got the feels out there, saw who was keen and tweaked as I went. And I'm like, okay, I put it out today. By 2 days, I want to have all the prompts done. By the end of the week, I want to have my messages draft. And by Monday, I can hit send. So it gets to be simple. It gets to be easy. We just overcomplicate it by getting caught up in the shininess. So I'm going to leave that on there. Number 2. This one just makes my soul feel so nourished. And that, my friend, is to lean into your feminine energy. I want you to lean back, follow the feeling, not the thought. When we get an inkling to do something, maybe it's to reach out to somebody, maybe it's to say something, maybe it's not to say something. Follow that feeling. And don't get caught up what your mind, what your brain is telling you to do instead. Maybe it's chattering to you and saying things such as, don't reach out. Why would you waste your time? That's not the right thing to do. This is wrong. Insert any other chatter your mind is telling you. Because when we can choose to tune out the voice in our mind and listen and lean in to the feeling in our heart, in our stomach, in our bodies, guys, that is the magic. leaning into my feminine energy has been one of my biggest takeaways of 2022. If you listen to my spiritual journey episode, guys, go listen to that. It's a 2-part series. Go listen to that after this episode. And I speak so much on how much leaning into my feminine energy has served me. And it's just such a juicy topic to talk about. Like, I just want to talk about this so much. I'm going to do, in my private Facebook group, I mentioned this last episode, I think. I either would have done already, or it's coming up, a mini training on your feminine energy. So if you're not in the society, first of all, get in the society, guys. This is my free Facebook group. So this is an extension of the podcast. So if you like this, if you think this is okay even, you're going to love the group. And this is a group of like-minded people. We've got guys and girls in there. And it's for people who want to level up emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially. Like, do you not want to increase those areas of your life? You do. So join my free Facebook group because a training on feminine energy either will be up or it's coming up soon. And the more I have just lent into my feminine energy and followed this feeling, I have just seen actual magic come into play. And I just love it so much. There's so many stories I could tell. I just don't want to make this too long, but you know what? We're going to go there. So a great way you can practice this, you're probably like, oh my gosh, what do you mean lean into my feminine energy? So whatever you're doing right now, I want you to take the attention, take the focus out of your mind and bring it down into your chest and now into your belly. So think about it in the lower part of your belly. So girls, where our uterus is essentially. Guys, this accounts for you just as much. We all have femme and masculine energies despite your gender. So allow your focus to drop into this lower part of your belly. And think of it like there's a fire here. It's like the lion's roaring. And does it feel warm? And I don't want to use the word fuzzy, but just warm and really inviting. And this is your feminine energy. And when we can think not from our minds, but from our belly, that is where the magic will play. Now, bear with me. When we can drop into this, we are being more receptive, we are being more open, and we are feeling from our bodies, especially to all of the females listening to this. It will serve you so much the more you can drop into your feminine energy. Feminine power is truthfully a thing. And I really fell into this whole space around May, June, July of this year. And I'm going to go open and tell a story. I was dating somebody around this period of time. And this is when I really learned about this. And divine timing for sure came into practice in my life here. And I was really immersing myself more in feminine energy. And then I was dating somebody for quite a few months. And it was great. I can't fault that whole entire time period. And yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of sad it's over. But the thing is, it taught me so much about the person I wanted to become. It taught me so much about the person I wanted to become in regards to my feminine energy. And wow, I really got emotional for some reason. And I'm going to tie in the third one here because this really piggybacks onto the second one, which is to recognize how something makes you feel, not what you think is the logical thing to do. And if you listen to my episode titled How Your Emotions Are Blocking Your Abundance, I talk about this story specifically a little bit more in detail. And that is, we often are faced tests from the universe where it may feel like the right thing to do, but logically doesn't make sense, or vice versa. And this is ultimately where you need to tap into your feminine energy and recognize, am I getting my needs met? Am I feeling how I want to be felt? Or are you acting from your brain? You're thinking, you're being logical, you're rationalizing something. And this can be as simple as, for example, you are in a connection with somebody, either a friendship, a partner, a boyfriend, girlfriend, or you're just dating. And your needs and desires aren't getting met. So this is a feeling, right? However, You are rationalizing the situation in your mind. Oh, I've been friends with this person for years. It's just how they are. Me and my boyfriend or me and my girlfriend, yet again, we've been together for years. It's comfort. It's how they are. Like we're using these things as an excuse. Most of the time it's comfort, it's convenience. This is you rationalizing. This is you applying logic to the situation. When instead, it's like there's a spotlight and you're choosing to not put it on your feelings, to not put it on this lower part of your belly. This is the part that so desperately wants to be heard. Because so often our minds, this chatter up here is blocking it. And that isn't serving you because this is your intuition. This is your gut feeling. And I know I can speak so much on this because when I was in my past relationship, like a billion years ago, I wanted to leave, but I was terrified to leave. I was such a child. I was so young. I was terrified to leave out of convenience, out of familiarity, out of comfort, I had a whole life attached to this person. And I'm like, what do you mean there's more out there? Oh my God. Little did I know. And so I was blocking down this gut feeling, right? And it would come up. I would be really sad. I'd push it down. I would ignore it. It'd come up 3 months later, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And it wasn't until it got so damn loud, I kept choosing to ignore my intuition. If you listen to the first episode, I share this exact story. I kept choosing to ignore my intuition. And then it's like the universe got so sick and tired of watching my bullshit, of putting up with shit, of not listening to myself. And so it dropped an absolute bomb on me and tipped my whole life upside down. This was in 2019. And that's kind of how Start Somewhere started. This is how my podcast started. So listen to your intuition, girlfriend, is my advice. Listen to that gut feeling. Even if it feels icky and uncomfortable, it's just an emotion that's there. That's it. Hold it. Allow it to feel icky and uncomfortable. Give it compassion and curiosity. In the society, I post these very vulnerable, intimate videos where I speak from my absolute heart. And I shared one. As I'm recording this, I actually recorded this video in the Facebook group about an hour ago. And this is all about your capacity to hold emotions. And I speak on this exact topic, holding the great emotions just as much as holding the icky, uncomfortable, unknown emotions. If you can hold those icky ones, you can hold the great ones incredibly, right? So number 2 and 3, lean into your feminine energy and then recognize how something makes you feel, not what you think is logical. Number 4, stay in your own lane. Everybody around you is on a different path. Everybody is working at different speeds, working on different jobs, saving for different things. Do not allow this to influence what it is you want to do. And I can speak about this so much because at the start of this year of 2022 and the end of 2021, what I do is not what most of my friends do. I mean, now I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs, but I really attracted that this year. But before then, my close group of girlfriends, they don't do what I do, right? So they're in traditional jobs. They're in normal jobs, right? That used to be me as well. And so I could see my vision, the life that I wanted for myself. And it was the complete black sheep idea. It was the complete opposite of every single person around me. And that just made me feel so alone and lost and confused and icky and uncomfortable and insert every other negative emotion under the sun. And I was so easily influenced by people around me. I was like a sponge, right? And my friends, my family, of course they wanted the best thing for me. They had they had my best intentions in their heart. And, they didn't really know how to help me because I didn't really know how to help me either. And the thing is, I got so swayed by what people were doing around me that I completely lost track of what it is I wanted to do. And it's just so hilarious. The amount of corporate jobs I've applied for. And guys, I applied for one before I went to Europe. I had another cracking moment because honestly, the life of an entrepreneur, especially in the first 6 months, And I applied for a job at like a bank, right? Like if you've listened to me for a while and you know my personality, or you can probably already tell I'm quite a quirky person. And, you know, I applied for a job at a bank. Like you probably couldn't get more dry if you tried, right? Cute little rhyme. And I got the job, and it's like me getting the job made me realize that it's not what I wanted. And so I rejected it. And it's so funny. I was in Spain when I got the email. They're like, hey, can you do an interview? I'm like, hey, like I'm in Spain right now. Like classic, just nomad, not supposed to be living that stable, quote unquote, normal life. And guys, I'm extremely normal as well. But the thing is, I was so easily persuaded by what everyone was doing around me. And I lost sight of what it is I wanted. And how sad is that? So stay in your own lane, guys. Right now, my goal is not to save for a house. So many people around me starting to do that, getting investment properties and saving for this and saving for that, like home loans and blah, blah, blah. Like that is just not in my foreseeable future right now. Like I'm saving to invest back in my business. I'm saving to possibly move overseas, right? Like I'm not saving for a really like cute little home life in Adelaide. Like that's not the goal right now. So I so easily could get swayed and be like, oh my gosh, I'm 26 now. Like people around me starting to do all this type of thing. Like they're moving in with their partners. And, you know, my cousin who's my age just got married. Like people are doing all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I love that for them, but I don't want that. Like I love that for them so much. And I love that I can celebrate with them and be like proud of them for doing that. But I'm like even more proud of myself for not getting swayed by that. Like that is such a big thing for me. And that is such a big thing I've been working towards. And I'm really proud I overcame that. So yay, big win. Number 5. I love this. Invest in yourself. It'll come back tenfold. So I speak so much on self-investment. Every single time I have made a self-investment, this exact thing has come true. It's come back tenfold. When I invested in the mastermind I was in at the start of this year, I earned back that money within 7 days because I signed a client, because I had learnt what I needed to do to get my first client. So that was cool. And then what I've actually reflected on, which I reckon I'll do an episode, maybe fleshing this out even further, because I really want this to speak for what my coaching does for people as well. And that is, I have invested in 3 mentors, I think. Yeah, 3. And every single one of those mentors, it has gone so much further than just the mentorship program, the 6 weeks, the 12 weeks, the year, whatever it was. So let me give an example. Carlo was my first, I invested in maybe 4 actually. So Carlo was maybe my second one, and we did our one-on-one together. And then, so I paid for that, right? And then he invited me to come into his group program, and I just connected with so many like-minded people. Like I got invited to join this, if you catch the drift. And then he hired me to become a mentor in the same group program. Like how cool is that? Like jumping up there. And then we go into business together and we launch an app. So from student to mentor to business partner. Second example, Emma Norris. We worked together maybe for like 3 months, and oh guys, this is so freaking cool. So this was in 2021 we worked together, and then in this year, about a month ago, so around October, no, actually like start of November, so now she works at a different company. So I think she stopped doing coaching and she works in like a media company. And she reached out to me, not a media company. Why did I say that? So she works for a company called Noom, right? And Noom is kind of like a Weight Watchers type thing. So it's like all about health and wellness, and they have an app and it's all about healthy habits and that kind of thing. And so she messaged me, and because she's in the Sydney team for Noom, and Noom were looking for an Australian coach to provide a guided meditation for brand activation they were doing. And this is a huge, huge deal, guys. Like Noom is like international, worldwide spec. And when this opportunity came into my laps, plural laps, into my lap, quite a few happy tears were shed, because I'm like, everything's happening. Like I wasn't even surprised in terms of like, I'm like, of course this happens, like this is what my life is like. And the thing is, I worked with Emma, and then a year later, this opportunity comes in. And so the reason I'm sharing these two really cool stories is because that is the type of coach I am for my clients now. Like, I can see that. Like Emma and Carlo, like, and my other mentors that I've had, you know, they've all helped me in so many ways further than just the program, than just the mentoring. They've helped me in other ways. And like, that inspires me so much. And that is in so much alignment for me to be that person. And shout out to Brie, if you are listening to this. Brie and I we worked one-on-one together at the start of the year. Like around April-ish. And then Brie came into my group program. And so guys, if you don't know, I have a book club as well. And Brie lives in Queensland. I am in South Australia. And we are in talks of not potentially, like we most likely will expand the book club Australia-wide, right? And have essentially like hubs in each state, because you can join the Facebook group. I know we do have quite a few of you who aren't in Adelaide. So you can join. We post the book in there, get around it. We have, oh my gosh, like almost 60 people, which is so surreal, because when Ruby and I started it, Ruby is the other woman who I have the book club with. And we were just like, yeah, we just want to be around, like surrounded by like-minded people. And we obviously have like a pretty large community here in Adelaide, because Adelaide is like so small. And, you know, there was a point where when I had first started, like, I can't talk right now, when I had just started my business, and I was like, you know, I do want to be surrounded more by these like-minded women who are in business. And I'm like, oh, do Adelaide even have these people? And of course they do. And, you know, I met Ruby through a friend of a friend, and then we all kind of found our friends and brought them to this. And now we've just become such a group. And it's just like, it melts my heart so much, because I've just made friends with these women so quickly. And, you know, we catch up outside of the book club as well. And just to have these like-minded friends is like the biggest advancement in doing what we do. Anyway, the thing is, Brie, I'm still talking about you. So we are going to be franchising essentially the book club. And so the reason I'm sharing this is because Brie has been such a long-term client of mine. And it's like, now we are essentially, you know, collaborating, like partnering together. And, you know, to any other client of mine, whether you're a current client or a potential client, and, you know, you love the idea of this, you live in another state, maybe you're in Adelaide, maybe you're in Queensland, maybe you're somewhere else, maybe you're on the other side of the world. Like, this book club, we do want it to go worldwide, because why not? And the thing is, like, I want to be able to expand my connection, my relationship with my clients so much more than just, you know, the 6-week, the 3-month program, whatever it may be. Because what I do as a coach, it's all about connection, community building, relationships. Like, I always say this to my clients so much as well. When you're connecting with people online, especially, right? Because this is how I get pretty much all my clients. And actually, I do meet quite a few of them in real life in Adelaide. But the thing is, you never know what somebody has to teach you. And maybe they're not a quote unquote ideal client, but they could know somebody. Or maybe one day they will be. Or maybe neither of those two things, but they're just going to be a great supporter of you, and vice versa. You never know what somebody can teach you or provide you or share you or anything else. So always be open to connections and opportunities. And this is all a result of investing in yourself. Number 6, solo traveling is one of the best life experiences. Do it, and do it often. When I went to Europe, I was supposed to go with a couple girlfriends. I was supposed to go with one girlfriend, then she pulled out, then another one, and then she pulled out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this thing solo. And it is the best thing I ever did. And I'm so grateful I did it. I'm just over the moon I did this. It was just such an incredible experience. I learned so much about myself. I just got even more independence, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm very keen to do more solo traveling, because it opened up my eyes. It really just shows you how capable and possible you are. And like, I share this story a bit. When I was in Cyprus, I was walking along the beach and just looking out at the water, such like a main character moment. And I'm like, there's a beach that looks exactly like this back home in Adelaide, but I'm in Cyprus on the complete opposite end of the world. And I'm here by myself. I got myself here by myself. No friend to piggyback on, no family member, no partner, me, and me. And I'm like, damn, that's a cool feeling. So I want everyone to experience that. Number 7, you have the ownership to change your beliefs. You have the ownership to change your thinking patterns at any given time. It is simply a story. If you are telling yourself, oh, it's so hard for me to make money, I don't have enough money, I'm too poor, insert more limiting belief money story, that is your story, right? You can rewrite that story at any moment of your life. Get clear on what that story is. Get clear on what those limiting beliefs are. What are those blocks? Why do you have that story? Approach it with curiosity and compassion. And then start to rewrite the story. Start to change the ending. This is like scripting. This is a form of manifesting. Number 8. Okay, this is to do with dating. Ladies, don't ever, ever, ever accept a last minute date. Unless you're official, of course. Even if you want to go really badly, you are not a doormat. Okay? This has been such a big part of my feminine energy journey thingy as well. And it's not that we are quote unquote too available. It's like you need to have this level of standard for yourself because you essentially teach people how to treat you. And when it comes to men, especially, if they see that they can get away with doing something one time, they are going to continue to do that. And maybe it's something that isn't putting your self-worth in a high regard. I mean, they probably don't have a malicious intent at all, but they're like, oh, she's chill, she's easy, I can just do this. No. Ladies, you need to be high value. Trust me on this. I wish I knew this 2 years ago. Number 9. And oh my gosh, I feel like I say this all the time, but that is to stop checking your phone first thing in the morning. I'm going to have this in probably every single birthday, best, top secret thingies I do. Because I notice such a difference when I slip. We all slip, guys. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's a Friday, I'll just scroll. And then I end up having such a reactive day. And the reason why this is so potent not to do is because you are essentially setting yourself up to be reactive. Who gets the sense, oh, I think my phone vibrated and it definitely didn't. Or you've checked your phone nonstop and then you're like, oh my God, I need to keep checking. I find this so funny. It's going to sound weird, but take the weirdness out of this. If I'm watching somebody on their phone and I can see what they're doing on their screen, I see this so much. Even if I'm just with a friend or my sister or someone, I can just see what they're doing on their phone. They slide it open. They swipe the home screen once or twice. They close it. Or they open their phone. They tap on Instagram. They tap 3 people's stories so fucking fast and they close it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know how much energy and time and bullshit you are wasting doing that? And that is because you are being reactive to checking your phone. Don't be a slave to your phone. I want to put that on a t-shirt because the amount of energy you are wasting, consuming this pointless content all the time. Don't get me wrong, guys. I love posting to Instagram stories. I don't think I've ever not had a story up. But be mindful when you're consuming. I love social media. I mean, I'm a social media manager as well, essentially. It's just being mindful on your consumption. Before we continue, a word from this episode's sponsor. Side Hustle to Profit is my signature offer. Imagine feeling this. Crystal clear in building your brand. You always know precisely what to post. You're inspired to shop consistently online. You're so proud to show your side hustle. You're confident to show your face in photos and videos. And you're supported with access to templates, videos, and frameworks. This is so possible when you sign up to Side Hustle to Profit. Get instant access to an abundance of video lessons and workbooks. And start to turn that idea, your passions, and your side hustle into a profit. It doesn't matter whether you have a vague idea or a full running side hustle. This is the program that teaches it all. It gets to be easy. Link in bio to secure your seat. I'll see you in there. Okay, this is a goodie. Number 10. Staying stuck is a choice. Take action, inspired action, and whether it's in the wrong direction or not, movement is better than stagnation. So there's this really cool analogy that my friend Katie, she uses a bit, and I really like to think of this. So, and shout out to you, Katie, I'm totally going to use your little framework here. She calls it your North Star. So what is like your end goal? Maybe it's to save money to buy a house. Maybe it's to build your business. Maybe it's to get a boyfriend. Maybe it's to be more consistent with the gym. Doesn't matter what it is, big, small, little, whatever. Your North Star goal. Now, you now have the choice to take action towards that goal. Maybe in your mind, you have a set direction that you need to take. You're like, yep, this step, this step, this step. And then something comes up. And you're like, this isn't really part of my plan though. Like this, I don't know about this. Like it's aligned or it's somewhat similar, but you're like, I don't know. Take that step forward instead of staying stuck and saying, I don't know, and not moving. And the reason for this is because, so you got your North Star at the end of you and you're at the opposite end, right? You can see in the distance. And so think of this as you got these different decisions to the left and to the right of you. Now, you can choose to kind of like ping pong to each one. You're like, tried this, didn't work. Let me go over here. Tried this, few steps backwards. Try this, 5 steps forward. Try this, 1 step backwards. You are covering so much surface area, which is only going to serve you to get you closer to your North Star, because you are learning so much as you go. So I'll give like a really simple example. I hope this is simple. Maybe when it comes to dating somebody, you're single, you're like, I want a boyfriend, I want a girlfriend. You're like, okay, I have my idea in my mind of what I want that person to be like, but you are not going on dates. You are not meeting new people. You are not putting yourself out there. You're not going to these new social events. You're going out in places and you're just on your phone the whole time with your head down. You're not looking up because you're like, no, they're not going to be here. No, I can already tell they're not in this room, like blah, blah, blah. You're chattering in your mind, right? In your mind. Go on a date. Maybe it's shit, right? Whatever. Go on another date. Maybe you date for a week. He sucks. Whatever. Do that again. Maybe you date for 3 months. Oh shit, this isn't working. That's okay. You are learning as you go. You are covering surface area, opposed to just staying in one position and be like, no. And it's like, you're not even making any movement because you're not learning as you go. So pivot, I guess essentially is the point of this, pivot, the Friends reference, and be open to things not going to plan all the time. They're most likely the best things, right? So I'll leave that one there. I love saying that now. Okay, number 11. Oh, this is good. Tap into your dark and light feminine energies. So I've spoken about femme energy quite a bit already. Now we're going to take this down one step further, and you have dark and light femme energies. So it's probably what you can assume it to be in your mind. So this light femme energy is light, and bear in mind, guys, it's not good or bad, evil or wrong. But light femme energy, it's that real, sweet, quote unquote, innocent, pure, angelic, dainty, what we would probably associate with. It can also be things such as like an unhealed light feminine energy. It can be things such as people pleasing, right? Overgiving, not allowing to receive. Whereas dark femme is, more of like this boss bitch energy. Think things like Beyonce, Cardi B, like that kind of vibe. It's very magnetic. It's a very high standard, high quality, which is why I shared that tip number 8, which is don't accept a last minute date. Be this high quality woman, because someone in their light femme who isn't very healed per se, they'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm going to drop everything. Or maybe you're going to cancel plans that you already had just to go run and see a boy. No. You need to be in this high quality, high class feminine energy, because that is so much more received, so much more respected. And so this dark femme, she knows what she wants. She owns it. She has these standards. She has these boundaries. And maybe she's more in touch with her sexual side, because the light femme maybe is viewed as not as much. So that's like a very, very, very surface example. I'm not an expert. I'm not a pro, but tapping into these energies, Google it, look up other accounts. Actually, I'm going to shout out, I have a second podcast, if you didn't already know that. It's called Where Ordinary Meets Audacious, and it's with Katie, the girl I keep mentioning. And we speak a lot about these types of topics because They're so powerful. And people may presume I'm more of this light femme, Katie's more of this dark femme, but it very much is opposite. And I learned so much to tap more into my dark, and she's learning so much more to tap into her light, and like vice versa. And I really have tapped into my dark femme, since like the start of the year. And it's just, to have this harmonious balance of both, it's powerful. It's really, really powerful. So, let me know if you want me to share more on this. I most likely would have spoken about this in the training as well, like with dark femme energy in particular. Okay, cool. Number 12. Oh, this is a goodie. Learn how to quantum leap, then do it often. Quantum leaping will blow your mind at what is possible. It'll blow your mind at what you can achieve in such a short amount of time. And quantum leaping is essentially you are compounding time so quickly, sometimes it doesn't even make sense. However, there is a con side to this, because polarity, guys, everything has an opposite. This year, yet again, if you listen to my spiritual 2-part series, 2022 was the year of mass quantum leaps for me, is what I called it. And that is, I was evolving at such a rapid speed. I essentially got to the end of the year, and it's like I'd experienced like an energetic hangover because I was leaping so drastically. My life was evolving so fast. It's like my nervous system and everything else like needed time to catch up. And stability has been my goal for the year. And I really am like slow, surely, but finally getting myself into like this really beautiful, stable energy. However, still being able to quantum leap. And I have an episode all on how to do quantum leaping as well. So I'll link that in the show notes for you guys to listen to, because you have to learn how to quantum leap. It'll blow your mind at what is possible. That being said, number 13 is allow your mind and your soul and your body to energetically catch up to this new you, to your new reality. And this can count in so many ways. This doesn't have to be just in like this energy spiritual space. So maybe, for example, with your body, you're going to the gym more, maybe like you've really wanted to increase your fitness and you're training so much more than what you're used to. Honey, your body is going to need a little bit of time to catch up to this new norm. Give it the time it needs. The same with your mind, the same with your soul. If you're like, I want to start meditating more. I hear Isabel talk about it all the time. I want to start. Yay, love that for you. Your mind is going to resist this so freaking much if you're like, yep, I'm going to meditate for half an hour every single day. Like, start small, start simple, start somewhere. Allow your mind to get used to what it wants you to do, because your brain is a creature of habit. We are all creatures of habit. Like, that's what humans are, creatures of habit, essentially. It's what our brains want. Therefore, our brain wants familiarity. So when we start to do something different, like, whoa, you're getting up at 5 a.m., you're going to the gym? Wait, why are we sitting in stillness and not doing or thinking about anything for 20 minutes? Like, what do you mean? Allow your brain to catch up. That way it's going to solidify, it's going to get used to it. But that being said, it's going to resist. It's going to be like, we can sleep in, we can skip meditating. We don't need to do these types of things because it's not used to doing it. Beat your brain, right? Oh, I love the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. That actually, highly recommend that book. He talks about quantum leaping from a real scientific standpoint because he's a doctor. And it's so interesting because people can either roll their eyes at these concepts and be like, haha, spirituality, whatever. But like a quantum physics scientist really defies and explains these concepts. And you can be skeptical or not, but this shit works. So it's a hack. Learn about it. Use it to your advantage. Go to the moon. People be like, how did they do that? That's fine. Number 14. This is what I've been doing quite recently, is go for walks without your AirPods, no music, no podcast, no Audible, just you and your mind. Ooh, scary. Whether there's so much overthinking and anxious thoughts, there's so much chatter, or maybe there's nothing. It's so soothing for your mind. And I've been loving doing this, especially like during the day as a break from working, because consuming content or music, it's using up energy in our minds, right? And so sometimes our minds just need to switch off for a bit. And if we can't run and meditate, we go for a beautiful walk and just be. And it's becoming my favorite thing to do because I speak to a lot of my clients on this as well. Shout out to Mel if you're listening. I know that you can resonate. Like, we're both saying that we get so many downloads, so many ideas when we are out in nature. And, there's this hiking track near my house and it's just like my favorite place in the world to be at. And when I can just especially be there and switch off and not have my phone with me, oh my gosh, it's just like, it soothes my soul in the best way possible. And that's how we get so many ideas. And I can actually think of so many people I've had these conversations with. I can think of one in particular. I interviewed Emma Zira on my podcast quite a few months ago, and she was saying the same thing. She's like, if when I do this type of practice, I get my next download for a new program or a new offer or podcast or whatever it may be. And sometimes I do this even if I'm driving. I'm like, okay, that's enough noise. That's enough chatter. Let's just chill in silence for a bit. And I get all these messages come through to me. Like so many. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to journal this out. I need to speak it out, whatever it may be. And this is mostly how I get my ideas for my podcast, for my content. Like, I have the abundance of ideas I have for content is second to none. Like, I can supply content ideas for honestly like 100 people and it can all be so different. I should probably, oh my gosh, maybe we should start doing that. Like, I have so much content to share. It actually like stresses me out in the best way possible because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to run out of ideas because I'm allowing myself this time to be. Number 15. Walking meditations are great if you're somebody who says you're too busy to meditate. You're never too busy. Side note. So I've been walking meditations. I got into them when I was on the Mindspace retreat in Cyprus. So I was doing the Manifesty one and it was just so heartwarming and emotional and beautiful in the best way possible. And I was doing that in Cyprus along the beach. And then I came back to Adelaide and I would do it just walking around my neighborhood. And I'm like teleporting back to Cyprus. But walking meditations just give you such a different perspective. Like, especially if you are used to traditional meditation, eyes closed, it's really refreshing and it's really cool to see that this practice is just so, like, it can be so dynamic. When I did my new meditation, that actually was an eyes open guided meditation. And I really wanted it to be as simple and as familiar for people as possible because the brief was for people who've never meditated before. And so I could really make sense that they may find it really like weird and uncomfortable to close their eyes in a public place and to tune in and to meditate. So I wanted to make it something that was really what they're used to, familiar, right? Like, instead of sitting and having your eyes open, staring at a screen, let's just get lost in the distance. And, I obviously it was a guided practice, like listen to my voice. And, I thought that was really cool that I got inspired from something that I've really implemented in my life this year. I could then share that with people. So that was cool. Number 16. It's okay for friendship dynamics to change. Maybe you get closer to others. Maybe you drift away from others. All you can do is appreciate and recognize what each connection is in your life and don't put too much pressure on each. So I'll explain this further. I've mentioned this bit already in the podcast. Like, last year, I didn't have as many I didn't have many friends who were business owners around me, didn't have many friends who were entrepreneurs around me. And I found that really challenging because I really craved having people who were essentially going through exactly what I was going through. So I could have, friendships to fall on, to lean on, who understood exactly what it is I was going through. I'm just repeating myself here. And so I could see myself being in a position where it was so easy for me to not get frustrated, but just to feel quite alone in terms of, I'm like, I need a like-minded person right now to really make sense of what I'm going through. And so when I started to branch out more, and actually, hear this, guys, I had this exact conversation with Ruby. So Ruby and I met at the start of this year. And I was saying this to her, I'm like, I really just want more friends who are business owners. And then she told me, she's like, I've always wanted to do like some kind of book club or something or other for business owners. And then we kind of flesh out the idea more. And now here we are with Adelaide Business Book Club, potential franchise to Queensland. And that was all from something she was longing and I was longing. And so we've like made sense. And she really like taught me this as well. She's like, it's just, you talk to your business friends about business, and your friends who aren't in business, don't talk to them about business because it's not what they do. Right. And so this kind of complements as well my point of like staying in your own lane, because people are always going to give you advice, whether you ask for it or not, is something I've realized. And I'm somebody I don't like, like if I have an idea to do something small or big and I tell somebody and they tell me all the reasons why not to do it, I get so mad because I'm like, I'm not telling you for you to tell me why you think I shouldn't do it. I'm telling you because I thought that I could just tell you and you could just hold that space for me. And so I've really learned this year, I'm so mindful who I tell what to. And I tell my friends this, like if I'm telling them something, I'm like, I've only told you or someone else because I'm so mindful just not to tell everything to everyone. And I know my friends who will get it, I'll tell them that, and like vice versa. Like you're allowed to have friendships for different things. And of course we're going to have like a, an all-rounder friend who really can make sense and understand everything. But end of the day, we don't want to put too much pressure on these friendships because it's going to just cause so much like unspoken disappointment because our unspoken needs aren't met. And that's such a big thing as well. We like presume like for example, you might do something and then that friend doesn't do that thing. Well, you're like, but what do you mean? I would have done that if I was in that position, but they're not you, right? Like we have different traits, different personalities, and that's fine. We can't get pissed off at that person for not doing something that we would do because they're not you. So we're putting this pressure on this person to be this, this ideal character we have in our mind. And so instead, just erase all of that. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Look at that friendship at what it is and appreciate the hell of it out of that. And that's it. Drop the pressure, drop the expectations and everything else. Let that person be in your life for whatever it is that they're there, and allow the space for other people to come in if you want other needs to be met. Like me when I created more friends who are in business. Cool. Let's keep chugging. All right, number 17. Almost there, guys. Expand your money mindset. This has been the biggest game changer for me this year, especially in regards to business, because when we're so used to, getting a trustworthy paycheck from somebody else, we probably don't really think about our money mindset too much. But when it comes to charging for our services and we're having to pay ourselves and everything else, like it's just, oh my gosh, it was such a different world to walk into. And I've really expanded my money mindset. I feel like I've only just scraped the brink of it, and I'm so much keen to go so much further in it. And actually as well, I want to shout out the latest offer that I have, which is called the Start Somewhere Project. And this is the perfect entry level to anybody who really wants to start to expand essentially their mindset, their money mindset, their magnetism energy, and manifest more. So this is a very, very low ticker offer. I'll include the link for this in the show notes. And money is a huge lesson in this project. And I share a bunch of journal prompts that are really going to help you discover what your blocks are in money, discover what your beliefs are in money, and then how to work through them. I have a whole bunch of affirmations that help you to become wealthier, feel wealthier. And then I have a guided meditation that just guides you through this whole process to really cement it and make it solidify in your mind. So, girlfriend, expand your money mindset. You deserve to have all the money that you want. You're not too greedy. It's not too ridiculous. It's not too soon. You can have those ridiculous amounts of money come into your life. Trust me. Start to expand this area. I love the Audible Rich as Fuck by Amanda Francis. That was actually one of our book club reads a few months ago. I'm re-listening to it. I love Denise Dufferfield. Oh my God, Denise Thomas Dufferfield. She's going to be in the podcast soon, guys. Oh my gosh, it's going to be epic. She is a money mentor. I'm rereading her book, Get Rich Lucky Bitch. Loved that book, rereading it again. And her latest book, Chillpreneur, that was our November read for book club as well. Get and start some of the project. It's such a low ticket offer, and say yes to yourself, because everything I share in this is going to help you collapse time. It's essentially your leap pad to quantum leap, right? It's going to help you collapse time and get to this next version you in less than 4 weeks. How cool is that? So get into the Start Some of the project. The link will be in the show notes. Number 18 is ask whatever it is that you want. If you don't ask, you're not going to know. You're not going to get. So, for example, when I reached out to Georgie Stevenson, I was self-sabotaging. I'm like, she's not going to want to come on my podcast. Like, I don't have enough downloads, enough followers, like blah, blah, blah. I sent her an email and she's like, yep, let's do it straight away. And then Rochelle Fox, she's going to be on the podcast. I reckon it'll be up early next year. I asked and she's like, yep, let's do it. Samantha Daly. Oh my gosh, I'm so keen to interview Sam. I asked, she's like, yep, let's do it. Guys, I'm working on getting Wim Hof on the podcast. I'm just putting it out there. It's going to happen. I'm already in contact with his team. Wim Hof on the podcast, like, yet again, I could have played it small and be like, oh, like, I'm just this little podcast, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, start somewhere is like international. Like, absolutely not. Ask and you shall receive. Number 19. This is a goodie. This is like in correlation to your dark femme. Get in your bad bitch energy. Don't think you always have to be Miss Goody Two-Shoes, Miss Please Everybody, Miss Play by the Books. And I'm not saying be erratic and irresponsible and silly. Be bold. Do the thing that you're like, shit, I can't believe I did that. Because like, it just makes for epic stories. It makes for incredible confidence and you'll feel so alive. So after you finish this episode, I feel like I've recommended so many of my past episodes, but as well, if you want some fresh content in regards to dark and light femme energies and bad bitch energy in particular, such a funny phrase, you need to listen to my other podcast, which is called Where Ordinary Meets Audacious. And oh my God, we are becoming beyond ordinary and so audacious. And like we are seeing this ripple into so many areas of my life. Like it was so funny. As I'm recording this, so this morning, I texted Katie, it was like 7:30. And I'm like, all right, I've already done one audacious thing and I've had a huge realization and it's not even 7:30 a.m. yet. And we are just like, we are living and breathing this energy, I'm going to call it. And it's so funny. We say so much. Like I'm kind of like scared to keep this going because like what comes up is just so bold and fierce, but like in the best way possible. So, if you haven't checked out the podcast or Katie or seen snippets of this, you're probably like, what is she talking about? So check out the podcast, Where Ordinary Meets Audacious. It's kind of like my other side to all this kind of stuff. Number 20. Expand your emotions. The heavy, the sad, the confusing, the disappointment. What is your capacity to hold these emotions? So I've really kind of mentioned this a bit already. Everything's polarity. Yeah, we have high vibes and everything's great and fun and blah, blah, blah. Stuff goes to shit. We get disappointed. We get heartbroken. We get upset. We get confused. We feel lost. How much can you hold one and how much can you hold the other? Can you hold the bad just as much as you can hold the good? Because the more you can work to hold the bad, ask yourself, when you're experiencing these, okay, we don't want to label good or bad, but when you're experiencing these unpleasant emotions, do you run to social media and get lost in a scroll? Do you run to go out with your friends? Do you run to alcohol? Do you distract yourself? Or do you sit in the feeling and just feel fucking sad? Maybe you do just listen to sad music. Maybe you do just lay in your bed. Maybe you do just start to eat your favorite chocolate. You don't always need to journal it out and pull tarot cards and meditate or go for a walk and go to the gym. Like you don't always need to do that shit. The thing is, if you can hold these bad emotions, I don't mean bad like figuratively, but you know what I mean? If you can hold them, that means you are able to hold higher emotions even greater. Imagine that. Let that drop in for a moment. Next time you are experiencing this icky emotion, hold it, sit in it, let it flow through you. Let it do its thing. Just know that a sunny day is hours away, right? It's coming. It has to come regardless, right? The moon, the sun, it's not like we don't get either of them. It's like they're taking turns essentially. The moon's kind of always there. But the thing is, when we can show ourselves and the universe that we can hold these lower emotions, it's like, she's got it. She has the capacity to hold even greater, even higher, even bigger and better and brighter and happier. Let's give it to her because she can handle it. So Play with yourself. It's a test to yourself. You v you. 21. Find a community. Immerse yourself with like-minded people. So like my book club, I've mentioned quite a bit, or my private Facebook group, The Society. Both are free to join. The links to both will be in the show notes as well. And I mean, if you're vibing this content, if you want to start reading more, if you want to get more into spirituality, into feminine energy, into mindset, into business, into marketing, I got 2 communities for you, girlfriend. I got 2. Book Club, Society. Join them both. Why not? Get amongst like-minded people, expand your network, find these women online, on Instagram, on Facebook, connect, add friends, follow, start conversations. You never know where these connections are going to go. Cute little rhyme. 22. Read more books. Yet again, shout out to my book club. I have never read more books than I had this year because book club is keeping me accountable. And I'm reading a book probably in like 2 weeks. And then because I'm in such a role, I'm like, oh, what's next? What's next? Like it's mid-November as I'm recording this and I've already finished our November read. And so I'm like, okay, what's next on my bookshelf? And I'm just rereading something else because what's that stat? We only absorb like less than 80% or something. I don't know. I really butchered that. But the thing is, just read something again twice. Like why not? Because you're in the mood to read and it's a habit. So I've worked up a really cool habit at the moment where after I wake up and I meditate, I go into my office and I have my coffee and I read. And it's just like, it makes my brain feel so good because I'm not on a phone, I'm not working, I'm not like consuming any loudness. I'm just allowing my mind to read. And it's just really soothing. All right, almost there, guys. 23. Cultivate the courage to be vulnerable and bold. This like complements my bad bitch one and also like my whole audacious vibe as well. Guys, the more vulnerable you can be, the more bold you can be. Oh my God, a new dimension of your life opens up. You see what you're capable of. You see what's out there. You see the opportunities that are just waiting for you to come at them. Vulnerability is a superpower. Putting your heart on the line is actually a good thing. Don't suppress those emotions, my friend. Let them out. You either learn or you grow. Same thing. And be bold to say what it is you want to say. Let people know how you feel. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for others. Say what it is that you want. Go after it. Be bold. Number 24. Decide on your non-negotiables. So maybe it is for a specific season in your life. So at the moment in my current season of life, my non-negotiable is my 9 a.m. Sunday morning gym class. And there was a period in my life, middle of this year, where I was never really available to go to the gym on a Sunday morning. And I feel I'm like, something's missing from my life right now. What is it? I'm like, it's my body attack class, 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning. And so this is now my non-negotiable. And not that I actually rarely go out and drink alcohol anymore, but if I go out for a nice dinner and have a cocktail, I know I can still go to my class the next day. And like I mentioned, there was a period where this is when I was dating somebody and, I was never on my side of town on a Sunday morning. So decide what they are and stick to it. It can be one thing, it can be 5 things. Number 25. Don't stay in connections and jobs for comfort. Don't stay in them just for the sake of it. If you know deep down you deserve more, maybe you think you deserve more compassion, more respect, more love, more money, there is your answer. The answer is in the question. As soon as you're questioning, be like, well, if I had enough, I wouldn't be thinking, should I be getting more? You'd be grateful for what you have, not being like, oh, I need more than this. Don't stay for comfort. Trust me. It's a waste of time. You can get to where you want to be so much quicker. Yeah, it's scary. It's unknown because it's not what we're used to doing. But when we can cultivate this bold energy to maybe be vulnerable is what we need to do, or we just need to be bold. Be that bad bitch. Do the thing and you'll get what it is you want in return. And number 26. I love this. You always know the answer. As soon as you catch yourself saying, I don't know, take a moment to pause, to tap in, listen to your intuition, and just know your intuition, it's soft and quiet, especially if it's around a specific topic or question that you've been saying, I don't know to for a long time. Your intuition is used to you ignoring it, right? It's like, oh, she's not going to listen to me. She keeps ignoring me. Allow it the time to brew, essentially. Maybe it is going to take a bit of time. That's okay. A lot of the times when I'm trying to figure something out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to write it out. I'm going to journal. And nothing comes up. I'm like, oh, okay, just going to allow it time. And then maybe the next day or the next week or 2 weeks, I'm like, I know it. I now know. Allow it the time. Your intuition is at the back of your mind. It's in your stomach, your lower belly, right? It's this feminine energy yet again. It's in your heart. It's in your soul. It's in your body. It's not at the front of your mind. It's not this chatter. It's not the overthinking. It's not the bitch talking to you. It's not the fear. It's not the self-comparison. It's that soft voice that logically you may be like, what bitch? Like, are you serious? But deep down it's right. So I'm going to leave it there. This was longer than normal, but we had 26 incredible life lessons to get through. I hope you take 1, 5, 10, or 26 of these to skyrocket your life. I mean, perfect timing, guys. We are almost in 2023. So use these to your advantage. This is everything I really tapped into and learned so much more this year. So this took me 12 months, but here we are in an hour-long podcast. So use this to your advantage and let me know which one landed with you the most. I'm not going to read out all 26 as a recap, but go back, re-listen to some of them, send this to a friend who you're like, so-and-so would love to hear this episode, or so-and-so needs a bit of a reality check on how much she's checking her phone or being more assertive or being more bold or whatever it may be. Share the podcast, guys, because that is the quickest way. Start somewhere, can grow organically, and how it can meet more aligned women just like yourself. And if you have a moment to right now, I would appreciate it so much. Actually, could this be a birthday present, guys? If you could leave us a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you listen to, I would love it so much. Let me know in the review if you're doing this in relation to this episode. Pop a little B-Day emoji, maybe the cake or whatever it may be. And I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for sticking around, for listening to this episode. I'm so excited and just so happy to always be sitting down, mic in my hand, headphones on, camera on, and just recording and just talking from my soul. I love it so much. And I hope you guys have a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it is you chose to click play to this episode. And as always, guys, I'll see you in a brand new episode. We go up live every single Monday. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And I will see you in our next one. Bye, guys.